Welcome everybody back to Umineko, episode 3. I'm here with Kat as always.
Alright, I am chicken.
Did you end up going with the sweet and sour?
Yes, I did. It took way too long to actually get everything ready to actually make everything and then clean out my kettle and so on and so forth for me to make my ginger sauce, so I just fucking didn't.
Fair enough. So, how are you doing?
Well, you asked me that right as I stuffed a giant piece of chicken in my mouth, so you're gonna have to give me about 20 seconds.
Fair enough. On my end, I was playing what is it? Home Safety Hotline. That's what it is. Which is a sort of analog horror game.
Yeah, that's not the one you showed me the other day, what is it?
No, it's not.
I don't remember the name of that one, but
that's not my neighbor.
Right, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Home Safety Hotline is you are a hotline worker in 1996 helping out people with various, home safety problems. And they start to get more bizarre and more specifically fey the longer you get into the game.
Oh, hell yeah. That sounds interesting. At the very least, I want you to tell me about your experiences with this.
It was very interesting. Basically, someone will call in with a problem and you have to decide what it is they're dealing with. And you have various, I'll just grab this one just to show you.
Let me see this shit.
There we go. It'll have different entries for different issues.
Wow! The description of the mice. Small, worthless rodents. Fuck, dude. That's rude. Goddamn, man.
So you'll have stuff like, the mice, but you'll also have this fae called a hob.
Oh, yeah. The hobs are... that name, hob, comes from the same place that the hob and hobgoblin does. It means forest.
That makes sense.
What that most likely is a brownie, specifically.
Yeah, they're basically brownie-esque. But basically you listen to what their problem is and you diagnose which one it is, and then the company sends them the information to deal with their problem.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to decide, well, wait, does this sound supernatural? Or are they just dealing with something like bed bugs?
It's kind of cool. Yeah, that's definitely like a brownie looking at it. It's just like someone came up with a species name for a brownie.
Yeah.
Which is hob, apparently. Which makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, it's a fair enough naming choice.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's that. Straight up, just one of the entries is just portals.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's fun. It's definitely not concerning at all.
Yeah.
So, the song today, I did not choose it for everyone. And Jack, normally I choose the songs, but today I did. And Mel chose this one. It was the panty and stocking theme, I think.
Yeah, it's the theme for Scanty and Knee Socks, which are the two demons that kind of act as antagonists.
Okay.
Correct from Teddy Lloyd is the name of the person who produced the song.
So, like, I don't know if I like that song or not, but it feels a lot like EDM plus funk, and even if I don't like it, I'm very interested in finding out more.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, check out Teddy Lloyd stuff. Check out the Penny and Stocking soundtrack. There is more stuff like that in there.
It's like electronic and funk, like, I don't know if they go together really well or not, but like, it's definitely an interesting combination.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I keep thinking, it's like, I need to stop eating so I can answer the fucking question and tell you how I've been lately. And then
Oh
I just
yeah.
keep adding more food in my mouth anyway. Like, what's wrong with me, man? God damn it.
Well, other stuff on my end. Cappy did post the YouTube video that showcased my avatar.
Hell yeah. Speaking of, let's hit the chat with a Cappy motion. Excellent. Check them out. Cappy did both of our avatars and Mal's fucking PNG tuber thing. And by avatar, I don't, for once, I don't actually mean my actual like profile picture on this fucking stupid ass site. It's I mean this thing in the corner right here. This fucker.
Yep.
My design, Cappy's work, and Cappy did very well, and I like Cappy a lot for doing this.
Yeah, Cappy did excellently with this art.
Okay, I nearly just shoved another piece of chicken in my mouth, but then I remembered at the last second. All right. So what I've been doing lately, aside from not being able to sleep for like more than 3 hours at a time, has mostly actually been like Neo 2 because of course it has. I just finished the base game last night on New Game Cycle, and I swear I had more to talk about there, and I just
Yeah.
my brain blank. It like I took a sip of my tea, and then like everything I had to say just exited right out of the back of my brain.
Well, because you've been playing Neo 2, you've been thinking more about the Wandering God.
That's true. Yeah, I have. I completely forgotten that in the story of Neo 2, like people can just get it fucking resurrected like with enough spirit stones slash Amrita, like people can just get fucking brought back to life, which is fucked up. Because it's supposed to be like an old like fantasy history thing, right? Like
Yeah.
or a historical fantasy. There we go. Not an old history fantasy, but because it's literally just historical fantasy. Because like the whole story of Neo 1 and 2 is the Sengoku Jidai, the Warring States period of Japan, and like the interference from other countries during it, and a lot of famous characters. Like your character literally serves Oda Nobunaga in Neo 2. Kind of, sort of, literally serves. I think mostly your character is just like along for the ride, and Tokichiro is the one who is serving him.
Yep.
Because like you got
And
nothing to do, so you're like, fuck it, I'll go along, sure.
yeah, and relevant to what you said, like I think way back, uh Hideyoshi.
Yes, Hideyoshi. You are Hideyoshi. You and Tokichiro. Tokichiro. Sorry, so my tongue ain't quite working yet today. Um, you
Yeah.
take on like the paired name of Hideyoshi.
Yeah. Which definitely makes sense, a lot of the more fantastical things attributed to Hideyoshi.
Yeah, like you
It-
definitely like need something going on there. Whether that's
yeah.
like Hideyoshi is actually two people and one of them is a yokai, or something else, I don't know. But you need something going on there, like the One Night Castle, for example. Like that's obviously that's literally physically impossible.
Yep.
What
unless
probably
that
fucking
thing was.
happened is he had like 3 days or something like that. That they condensed it over time into the legend of what the One Night Castle. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, unless it was incredibly structurally unsound.
yeah, it was probably just like a really fast like palisade fort, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like it was just impressive by the sheer like how quickly he got it done by anything else. Um, but like your character is actually like Nobunaga's step sibling, or not step sibling, sibling in law, because Lady No and the other Saito kids are your half siblings, or actually your actual full siblings. Like Saito Yoshimitsu is your fucking twin.
Gotcha.
So it's like now that I knew that going into the story as well, it's been very interesting going through and seeing my character's behavior. Because obviously I don't get to fucking choose anything. It's like a JRPG style thing where your character just does whatever the fuck they want in the cutscene.
Yeah.
Um, so like, uh, the protagonist is always like super reluctant to do any sort of like bowing or like respectful behavior at all. And you'd think a lot of that is because they're yokai and they don't live among humans, and that's absolutely true. But also the other part of it is like I think your character knows that Nobunaga is the family member, and they're just like, I'm not gonna bow before my own fucking brother-in-law. All right, go away.
Yeah, that's fair.
I may be a mute, but I'm not gonna do that. Fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Although I would have very much liked to see uh, the characters' reactions to Hida telling them all of that, like who they are. Like, oh yeah, I'm Saito Dosan's like long lost kid. Saito Yoshimitsu is my twin, sort of shit. Like,
Oh
just
yeah,
watch
that
everyone's
would
fucking
be
faces
fun.
just like glaze over. Lay down, neighbor. No, lay down.
And like, of course, it is a cliche to kind of have stuff take place during the Sengoku Jidai, but also it is the one of the biggest like pieces of military history across the world.
Yeah, like the Sengoku Jidai is literally 100-year-long period of nothing but goddamn constant war in Japan. If you're gonna set something in Japan, you're probably gonna do it then.
Yeah,
Because that's also about the same
basically,
time that fucking firearms get introduced. Firearms and cannons and gunpowder bombs and shit. So, like, you get all the cool ninja tools there, too. The stuff that, like, popular media likes to use is just, like, fucking caltrop bombs and fucking fire bombs and shit. Smoke grenades and shit. That's
oh
where
yeah,
that comes in. Is during the Sengoku Jidai.
yeah. So it's basically gonna be mainly that or the Meiji Restoration.
The Heian period is also kind of popular, like, the late 1000s to 1100s, oops, and stuff. Oh, but misclicked.
Yeah,
It was,
that's also a fair point because they said that for a lot of older characters usually.
mhm. Like a lot of historical characters and like ancient supernatural creatures will be from the Heian period.
Yeah,
A lot of
but
like
yeah,
modern and so on and so forth.
the Meiji Restoration is good for that kind of cultural conflict
Hmm.
of you know the the old and the new,
There's
plus
also
you know
excuse me, a little bit of that during the Sengoku Jidai as well, because there were actually Japanese travelers who went overseas, converted to Christianity, and came back to be missionaries.
yep,
Which is like
and
deeply upsetting to me because like I anti-Christian bias, but also it's still like a very interesting historical fact.
yeah, and that went very poorly for them
Generally speaking, yes.
because while I don't like American Christians pretending like they're persecuted, uh, Japanese Christians were actually persecuted.
I don't really get the point of like converting to Christianity, but like that's also just me again.
Yeah, again, that's, your personal preference, your personal belief systems, but, they saw something in Christianity that, you know, sparked devotion in them, and they came back, and unfortunately, due to a lot of things, nationalism being one of them, but
Mm-hmm.
they were
Xenophobia.
persecuted against. Yeah, xenophobia.
You're right though. The Neo 2 has gotten me thinking about the Wandering God like a lot more, and like more deeply than I had before too. Because like originally the story of the Wandering God was like a very like metaphysical thing, which it still
Yeah,
is, because like the whole idea of the Wandering God is a deity that was created after the creation of the Gestalt in Cinderfall, and then was retroactively inserted into history.
yep. Which is
And
very
like,
interesting.
and like the character, once they regain their memories, would know this because they're a deity, right?
Yeah, it it's one of the things I find interesting with, and you actually came up with this idea before encountering it, but Fear and Hunger does something similar, where the new gods, when they get established, just uh, basically get inserted into history.
Mm-hmm. I love things that should not exist, but they do anyway. Like books that were never written, gods that were never born, etc. I love that shit so much.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing with home safety hotline that I like to, as far as the horror, is sometimes you're just fucked. Like the person who runs into certain problems is just fucked.
Like there ain't getting any out of this. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Like there is uh, a particular, I guess, still a fae, but it's called a false beet, as in the vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it tricks people into eating it, and then it grows in their stomach, and there's no getting it out. You're just eating for two for the rest of your life.
Yep, you're fucked. Damn. Ow. Bit my goddamn tongue again.
But
I would be safe from the false beat though, because I don't like beets.
like beets.
You could do it with false carrot though, or false potato.
Yeah.
Like thinking about the Wonder God story again, has made me realize all over again how fucking sad I wrote her backstory.
Yeah.
Like it's
I,
brutal. It
I
is
remember you
awful.
mentioning that. Yeah.
Like so, historically in Japan, twins are considered like an ill omen, right? Like in a lot of places,
Yeah.
twins are considered like a great thing. In other places, it's considered like an ill omen. Japan is one of those ill omen places, and
Yep.
so the Wandering God has a sister, or had a sister, a twin sister. They were born sometime in the late 11th century, so like 1086 or something like that, to a single Yuki Onna. Just like they are, because
Ah.
they have to, right? Uh, they don't know if they have a father or not, and the mother never says, but it doesn't seem like there's no way a human could actually like in the setting. There's no way a human could actually like force a Yukiona to do anything that she doesn't want to do. Just saying. So it's not that kind of
Not saying. Gotcha.
yeah, it's not that kind. It's just like they just straight up don't know if they have a father or not. Whether like he's
Right.
dead or like he was just like a one night stand or whatever. They don't know, and they don't really care because they have their mother. And the wandering god doesn't care because she has her sister and her mother. Blah blah blah. Um, One moment, actually, I need to reference something real quick
Yeah.
because I don't remember the name of the sword, and I need the name of the sword for something. Ooh, excuse me. Sorry. I did not mean to belch in your ears. Characters. Oh my god. Assuming that I wrote the name down here. Yeah. Yuki no Yume. Okay, good. So, the Wandering God does not remember her name.
Yeah.
She does, however, remember her sister's name, Yuki, named after Snow.
Yeah.
I think. Wait, no, that's wrong. Her name is Yuna. She's named after Serenity. That's right. There we go. Sorry, she has two swords, and I read the wrong one.
Gotcha.
The one sword is named after her whole family, so a dream of snow specifically, and the other one is named after her sister, which is I don't remember what it translates to now. I'd have to look at it again. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So, in Japanese folklore, there are three great, terrible yokai, right? Like the who actually makes up these three greats depends on like the source, the region, and the time period, right? But generally speaking, it's Otakamaru, Shuten Doji, and Tamamo no Mai, who are I think two Onis and a Kitsune. I don't
Yeah.
remember Shuten Doji being anything specific, just like an Oni, and then same
Yeah.
for Otakamaru. I think
Yep. That is
Otakamaru's
correct.
famous thing though is that he's got a bunch of fucking like divine weapons, so like you can't kill his ass because he's got a bunch of divine weapons. Fuck you, buddy.
Yeah, and of course, shooting doji is in stuff like Fate and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So people are very familiar with her.
So I don't remember how Otakamaru gets killed or like sealed or whatever in actual folklore, but Shuten Doji is supposed to be like a bunch of samurai got together, like five samurai, I think. It was like the four champions and then like the leader. I don't remember who they were a part of or whatever.
Yeah.
Like what like the dynasty that they were serving or what have you. I don't remember what time period this was supposed to be, if it was before or after the Senjugoku Jidai. It doesn't matter. Um, and they got some like divine alcohol, more or less, and got Shuten Doji so fucking drunk that he couldn't stand up, even as an Oni, and then just like kill his ass. Because like you can't actually kill him while he's awake because he's just too strong. So even though like the five greatest samurai of the time period were like nah, and
Yeah.
Tamamo no Mai was never actually killed at all. She was
Just,
supposedly sealed into the Killing Stone,
but
which
that bitch broke out.
yeah, that bitch that thing fucking broke like 2 or 3 years ago, which we talked about on stream before, which is like terrifying. Tamamo no Mai is my favorite of the three great terribles, because her story is explicitly tied back to China. Like
Yep.
in her personal story, she is supposed to be from China, moved to Korea, and then finally moved to Japan, where she was finally ended, right? Or finally sealed, at least. So the idea for there was a point to all that, by the way. There wasn't just a tangent. The point to the Wandering God story there is that eventually, I haven't decided which one. I think it might be Tamamo no Mai, assuming she was still like free during the time period. I'll have to actually check. But one of the great terrible yokai was causing some trouble, as they do, and either them or one of their subordinates or minions or familiars or what have you started causing yokai to go into the Aratama state, which is like angry, vengeful god state. It's this like that's what vengeful spirits and shit are. Is
Gotcha,
Aratama.
gotcha.
Nigitama is like the helpful guardian spirits sort of thing. They literally translate to rough and something, and then like kind and gentle.
Hmm.
And like this is just a side note, but like humans are supposed to be able to be in these states as well. That's the whole point of like these things as stories, is that it's not just the yokai that do this; it's also people. And that's also why people can become yokais, because they're not actually all that different than humans are. Um, it's also why most of the time when a yokai has a child with a human, the child comes out pure human, because they're not actually any different. They just have some magical power or whatever. The only time I can think of that like the child didn't come out human is actually Shuten Doji, who is the child of a major god. And he's just like a baseline yokai, which is like an oni. You know, he's just a
Yeah.
really big, angry dude that's very strong. Um, but they were fucking around with all the yokai to try and like cause chaos, as you do when you're a great and terrible demon. Her family fell victim to this. The mother died before the Wandering God came back from training, because the way that I have it set up is Yuna and the Wandering God both represent like one half of the yokai experience. The Wandering God is really good with weapons. Yuna was really good with magic.
Gotcha.
So the Wandering God would occasionally leave to like go do training, and usually Yuna would go with her. You know, they'd hang out all the time, um, because they were twins and very close, and they actually cared about each other and so on and so forth. But the Wandering God came back from training run that one day to find that her sister had gone mad and killed their mother, and
Oh, jeez.
she was forced to kill her sister with her own hands as well. The event traumatized her so much that she went to another god and went, "Hey, can you take my nightmares out of my head?" And the god did that and forced a sword from it, so as long as she kept the sword on her, she would not have nightmares murdering her family.
Alrighty then. Good on that god.
Yeah. Uh, so the Wandering God is a deity of war, calamity, and death. It's a Yuki-onna that's ascended to like actual deity status. Just kind of fun.
Absolutely. I think that is enough tangents for the startup stream.
Yeah, that's a 30-minute like bullshit thing. That's enough time for people to filter in and like arrive.
Yeah. What, you mean 6 years ago?
何しろ6年って言ったら小学校丸々一つ分じゃねえか。
That's because you're a
Yeah,
fucking baby.
I was still in elementary school back then, right?
覚えてろってのが酷な話だぜ。
Pretty unfair to expect me to remember everything, don't you think?
そうだね。特に若かった僕たちに
Oh,
とっては
can we get the
大きな成長の6年間
content
だっ
warning?
たはずだからね。
Oh, yeah, let me grab that. True, especially because we were so young. We've grown a lot in these 6 years.
案外、自己紹介がなかったら思い出せなかったんじゃないかい？
If I hadn't been introduced, I might not even have remembered you.
そうかな。私はバトラだってすぐに分かったぜ。口を聞いてさらに確信できたぜ。
Really? I figured he was Battler right away, and when he opened his mouth, I was sure. Yeah, he definitely has a distinct foot in mouth.
Yeah, he's got that very specific kind of like flavor to his feet.
おお、マリア、初めて会った。
Just met him for the first time.
6年前わかんない。
Didn't know him 6 years ago.
You
I
did,
don't
you just don't
think
remember.
so. Yeah. I mean, yeah, probably just doesn't remember, but I'm like, are you trying to tell us that Battler is an invention or something? Didn't think anything of the line when I read it before. But now I'm wondering. But probably not.
Probably not, no.
そうですよね。マリア様はまだ3つでしたものね。
That's right. Lady Maria was only 3 years old then.
それを言われたら俺もだぜ。3歳の頃しか知らないマリアがこんなに大きく成長してるんだから、そりゃわからねえわけだぜ。
Well, the same goes for me. I only knew Maria when she was 3 years old, and since she's grown so big, of course I wouldn't recognize her. After lunch, we had all gone out to the beach to walk around, talk, and take it easy. Our parents were apparently having a suspicious, complicated discussion, so we ended up leaving them behind.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Tomomo no Mae is 3,000 years old.
Wow.
That's the
Oh.
oldest yokai I know of. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Well, just as I'd guessed from the start, the conversation focused on me since I'd been away for 6 years.
しかし本当に背が伸びたね。
Still, you've really gotten tall.
僕も低いつもりはないけど、とにかくその身長には驚いたよ。
Honestly, that's gotta be like really fucking exhausting hearing that from literally everyone. It's like, oh, you've gotten so tall. It's like, yes, I know, thank you. I'm the one that has to
Yes.
buy my clothes. I know.
Yeah, I get it. I'm the jolly green giant.
Yeah, I'm the one hitting my head on door frames and shit. Come on.
Wouldn't call myself short, but your height really surprised me.
そうですね。6年前のバトラ様をよく覚えておりますが、それでも驚くくらいでした。
That's right. I remember what Lord Battler was like 6 years ago, but I was surprised even so.
だなあ。6年前のバットラからは想像がつかないくらいだったぜ。
Yeah, seriously, I can hardly believe this is the same Battler we knew back then.
みんな案外6年も前のことなんか覚えてるもんだな。
I'm surprised how much everyone remembers about it.
俺なんかかなり記憶があやふやだってのによ。
My memory's all hazy.
だろうな。私たちのことを思い出すのに少し時間をかけてたみたい
Yeah,
だ
I'll
もん
bet.
な。
Looks like it's taking you a while to remember us.
あれはちょっと傷つくぜ。
You know, that hurts a bit.
いや、さすがに6年前だぜ。
Come on, this was 6 years ago, right?
覚えてろって方が無理があるぜ。
I'm the one who has it bad being forced to remember.
6年前のことですと、あまり覚えてはおられないのですか？
Saying that you can't remember well because it was 6 years ago?
He was like
つ
fucking
い昨日のことのように
11 or 12 at the time, so I can understand.
Yeah. Remember it as clearly as if it happened yesterday.
シャノンは記憶力がいいからね。
Well, your memory's great after all.
6年前にバトラ君がどんなことをしていたとか言っていたとか。
You remember the kind of things Battler did and said back then pretty clearly, don't you?
I don't want to know.
そういやそうだよな。
Come to think of it, that's right.
シャノンって妙なところで記憶力がいいんだよな。
Shannon's memory can be credible when you'd least expect it.
マリア覚えるの下手くそ。
I'm horrible at remembering.
Same,
Rude,
girl.
Maria.
Same.
楽しいことはスイスイ覚えるけど、つまんないのは全然ダメ。
I remember fun things, but I can't remember boring things at all. Very neurodivergent mood.
Oh, apparently Tomomo no Mae went to India before she went to Korea. Like she left China, went to India, and then went to Korea.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. The timeline is basically that she was in China, went to India, went back to China, and then got kicked out again into Korea, and then went over to Japan. It's just like lots of traveling and lots of chaos. Because at one point she was called Lady Kaio, concubine of the Crown Prince of Banzoku, who is based on some actual thing, who causing him to cut off the heads of 1,000 men. She like caused thousands and thousands of deaths over her lifespan.
Fair enough.
It's a very, very evil Kitsune.
We
Most
all
aren't
laugh
that bad
saying
in
that-
that one. Oof.
Yeah. We all laugh saying that everyone's like that.
シャノン、ちなみに6年前のバトラはどんなだったんだ？
Shannon, by the way, what was Battler like 6 years
何
ago?
かエピソードを覚えてないのかよ。
Remember any interesting episodes?
そうですね。確か、お帰りの際はこうおっしゃっていました。
Let's see, I'm sure that he said something like this when he left.
また来るぜ。See you again.
I'll be back. See you again.
きっと白馬にまたがって迎えに来るぜ。
I'll surely come for you riding a white horse.
ギャー
Get fucked.
Hashtag deserved.
ダメ恥ずかしい
Stop it. So embarrassing.
言いそう言いそう。
Sounds just like something you'd say.
確かに
Thank you for actually picking up that hashtag.
6年前のバトラはそんな感じのバカっぽい
Captioner.
バカっぽい
I
だぜ。
prefer it to be like typed out instead of like actually a hashtag, but I do kind of like it regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you always used to be full of those stupid lines, Battler.
確かに当時のバトラ君がいかにも言いそうだな。
Really does sound like something Battler would have said back then.
恥ずかしい恥ずかしい
Embarrassing? Is that embarrassing?
ああ最高に恥ずかしいぜ。
Yeah, horribly embarrassing.
マリアもきっと中学くらいになったらそういう恥ずかしいことが口にしたくなるからな。
Or yeah, I'm sure that when you're in middle school, you'll want to say embarrassing stuff like that.
そういう時は口に出す前にチラシの裏に書いて3度読み直してから口にすべきかどうか考えるんだぞ。
Hello, Bedwards.
Welcome, Bedwards.
When that happens, make sure you write it down and read it 3 times before saying it out loud.
じゃねえときっと後悔するからな。
If you don't, you'll definitely regret it.
It's actually decent advice from him, weirdly enough.
Yeah, like that's at least okay advice.
いや、誰しもがそういう痛々しい時代をくぐり抜けていくのだ。
Still, everyone has to pass through that pitiful period.
そうさ。
Yeah, speak for
そし
yourself,
て身の程を
nerd.
知り、恥を覚えて大人になるんだ。
That's right, that's how you learn your place, learn shame, and become an adult.
そうさ。これは大人への過渡期なら、誰もが犯す青春の甘酸っぱくて恥ずかしい消し去りたい記憶なんだ。
That's one of those bittersweet things everyone does in adolescence as they transition to becoming adults. Memory you just want to forget.
うわーぐわ
After all, this was all stuff I'd let slip out without thinking, so I didn't remember the words exactly. And now that those words were being recited to me, they were as embarrassing as hell. I only recently came to understand this weakness and was working hard to avoid such careless outbursts, but I guess I was just born with the habit of speaking without thinking, and there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, like we were talking about, foot and mouth.
シャーノン、他にも何か恥ずかしいことは覚えてないのかよ。
Shannon, do you remember any other embarrassing stuff?
まあ、 他にもいろいろと覚えておりますけれど、
Yes,
そ
well,
の
remember a few other things, but
ご本人もお忘れになりたいことみたいなので、これ以上は遠慮させていただきたいと思い
It's
ます。
bad enough that you remember them, Shannon, I think.
yeah, a little bit. But since it looks like the person in question wants to forget them, I think I'll refrain from saying any more.
ぶっちゃけると、俺はもう何も覚えてないんだ。
To be brutally honest, I don't remember this at all.
頼むから思い出させないでくれ。
Please don't make me remember.
おお、シャノンがバトラーをいじめてる？
Shannon's bullying Battler?
ダメ、
You can't.
いじめはいけないの。
You shouldn't bully people.
Oh, exciting update for my nails. The
Oh.
one that was broken the furthest back is finally past the nail bed.
Oh, goodness. Thank goodness.
Just barely, but it is. So I can actually like use my middle finger
いじ
now.
めてるわけじゃないんだよ。
She isn't really bullying him.
この話はこれくらいにしようか。
Let's leave it at that, okay?
でもシャノン、後でバトラ君のいないところでこっそり教えてね。
But Shannon, you'll have to tell me all about it sometime Battler isn't around.
なんだか面白そうだから。
Sounds pretty interesting.
はい、かしこまりました。
Yes, certainly.
そう、そりゃねえぜ、シャノンちゃんよ。
Oh, you can't, Shannon. For a while, George laughed at me as though warming up for when Shannon would tell him about more of my embarrassing misspeaks. George looked like he was flirting with Shannon. He seemed somewhat open and frank about it. It was always that way with it. Cousins, but he usually took on a reserved, gentlemanly attitude when he came in contact with the servants. When I thought about it, I got the feeling he was being a bit overly friendly, which seemed strange. Maria started scribbling in the sand with a stick, and George and Shannon joined in. This left me and Jessica off to the side, so I asked her secretively.
よう、ジェシカ。ジョージの兄貴ってさ、その、シャノンちゃんと付き合ってたりする？
Hey, Jessica, is George going out with Shannon?
おお、なになんでわかったんだよ。
How'd you guess?
It's probably all the flirting.
お前見かけより人を見てんな。
Battler, you've got a keener eye for people than I thought.
つえ
What?
俺、冗談で言ったつもりだったんだけど、本当に付き合ってんのかよ。
Just kidding, but they're actually going out? Yeah, no, Battler, you've got loops. Remember the loops. Slightly.
声が大きいって。
Voice is too loud.
一応内緒の付き合いってことらしいぜ。
Looks like they're keeping it secret for now, okay?
特にエヴァおばさんの耳には入れない方がいいよ。
Be better if nobody found out about it, especially Aunt Ava.
なるほど。
I see.
使用人との恋か。
Love with a servant, huh?
いや、でも、いつの間に？
Yeah, but since when?
はあ、6年ってすげえな。
Ooh, I guess a lot can happen in 6 years.
でも、確かに兄貴なら人間もできてるし、シャノンちゃんも優しくて海外しそうだし。
But yeah, George is an amazing person, and Shannon seems to be kind and brave.
お似合いかもな。
So they might make a pretty good match. Actually, 6 years ago, I remember taking notice of her just a little bit. See, she really fits well with George. Nothing I can do about that. Goodbye, my fleeting first love of 6 years ago. Which means that the collection of embarrassing lines Shannon had just held back on probably had something to do with that. Ah, I can't take it.
兄貴たち、付き合ってどのくらいになるんだ？
How long have they been going out?
どの段階から付き合ってると呼ぶのかにもよるだろうけど、確実に1年以上は
Yeah.
続いてると思うぜ。
Yeah.
That helps a little bit with putting things in the timeline, like when
Yep.
she broke the mirror and shit.
Yep. That depends on what you call going out, but I think it's been at least a year.
双方片思い時代を含めると数年になるんじゃねえのかな。
But if you count the time they both had one sided feelings, it'd probably be several years.
It's not one-sided. That's not what that means.
Yeah, that would be more unspoken feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Before I'd realized it, the two of them had separated themselves from the group and were walking down the beach talking about something. They looked calm. Rather than a light relationship between two lovers, it looked like a more serious one, though they were already engaged.
6年か。
6 years ago, huh?
でっけえ月日だな。
That's a long time.
俺にとってのこの6年は何だったんだ？
What did those 6 years mean to me?
図体がでかくなった。
I've just gotten taller.
親父との親子喧嘩で意地を張り合ううちに6年も経っちまったってだけの。
It's just a waste of time. 6 years I spent obstinately fighting with my dad.
バトラの方こそどうなんだよ。彼女とかできたのかよ。
What about you, Battler? You got a girlfriend?
さて、一緒に遊ぶ女の子は何人かいるぜ。
I wonder. There's a few girls that I have fun with. Big doubt.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
だけど、オンリーワンって関係はまだねえな。
But there's no only one.
俺がお子様なんだろうよ。
I guess I'm just a kid. Yeah, I believe that.
You are a child.
誰かと二人っきりでいるより、みんな大勢でワイワイやってる方が楽しいようにも思えるんだ。
I think it's more fun to be noisy with a large group of people than being alone with one person.
Cannot relate.
Yeah, I cannot relate, Battler.
Small groups, please.
Yeah. So, at least it's kind of like, I can imagine Battler is somebody who tries to make sure everybody at a gathering is having a good time.
It's true, but it's still like just large gatherings are exhausting.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
exhausted just thinking about them.
Yeah, exactly.
ああ、そりゃなんともバトラらしいぜ。
That's so you, Battler.
でも、女友達との関係はちゃんとしっかりしておけよ。
Take all friendship seriously. Fuck you, Jessica.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, take all your friendships seriously. They're friends.
But take your relationships with your female friends seriously.
女の思い込みとコミュニティは怖いぜ。
When girls get wrong impressions or form a group, it can be scary, you know?
勝手にバトラをめぐって暗闘が繰り広げられて、勝手に誰かが泣いたり傷ついたりしているかもしれないぜ。
You might be having secret feuds over you behind your back, with people getting hurt or crying.
I don't believe that for a fucking second.
Yeah, Jessica, I think your viewpoint is skewed because you're already kind of a rock idol.
That, and she has already been shown to be obsessed with, like, romance novels and shit.
True.
おかしいな。
That's so weird.
同じ忠告をつい先週、クラスの女から受けた気がするぜ。
I think I remember getting the same bit of advice from one of the girls in my class just last week.
I think that girl's also obsessed with romance novels.
なんだってんだろうな。
Yeah. What's this all about?
どうしてみんなで楽しく過ごせねえんだ。
Can't everyone just have fun together?
そうまでしてつがいになりたいのかね。
People really want to couple up that much? Some people do.
バトラがまだそういう相手に会ったことがねえからだろうぜ。
Probably because you've never found a partner like that, Battler.
まあ、おいおいそういう女に出会うこともあるだろうよ。
Well, you might run into someone sooner or later. Perhaps a witch.
Perhaps. Although,
気長に待つこったな。
like, looking at his behavior, this man might be ace.
Maybe?
I can see it, at least.
Yeah,
Like,
I can-
obviously, it's
I
definitely
can-
possible for, like, a sexual person to be like as weird and flirty and making all sorts of inappropriate jokes all the time. Um, but in my experience, it's mostly the ace people that won't stop flirting with people, including
That's fair.
myself. So, it's like the ace
Yeah.
people I know are the horniest people I know. Period. Despite like not actually being horny at all.
Yeah, fair read. Well, you might run into someone sooner or later. You've just got to wait patiently.
なんだよ。まるでお前にはもうそういう相手がいるみたいな言い方じゃねえかよ。
What? It almost sounds like you've already found a partner like that.
お前はどうなんだよ。
What
Don't you
about
sound
you?
like
彼
that.
氏とかできたのかよ。
Have you gotten a boyfriend?
私かよ。いや、
Me? No,
なんつうわかり
Hi,
やすい
Amber.
反
How you
応だ
doing,
よ
buddy?
come on, that reaction's so easy to understand.
見たところ気になる男はいるけどまだ告白もできてねってそういうところだろ
From the looks of it, there's some boy you're thinking about, but you haven't been able to confess to him yet. Something like that.
いや、そういうわけでは、
Battler, stop reading the script.
Yeah, right?
Oh, that's not,
先生、私のことなんかどうでもいいだろ
shut up. Who cares about that? You do. You are the one obsessed with romance.
And also, like, you revealed your weakness to Battler. There will now be incessant teasing about it.
話を振ってきたのはそっちのくせになんで俺が逆ギレされなきゃならねえんだ
If you're the one who brought up this subject, why are you yelling at me now?
女って生き物は質問ばかりでそのくせ自分が質
Stop
問
it.
に答えること
Stop it,
は
Battler.
してないんだよな
Stop it, Battler. I know you're from a sexist family, but stop it.
You didn't even grow up with most of them. Like, you've been living with your grandparents on, like, your mother's side. Come on.
Women are creatures who always ask questions and yet almost never answer them.
ずるい生き物だぜ
What cruel creatures? Seriously. Now, if you ask a woman a question and she wants to answer, she'll fucking answer.
Are you enjoying yourself, Kat?
まあ、そのよ、告白はさ、一度はしたんだよ。
Well, I did try to confess once.
まあ、盛大に空振りでさ。
Well, I struck out pretty badly.
ごめんなさいてか
Did you get an I'm sorry?
いや、まあ、私がすごく一方的だったんで、面食らわれたというのかな。
No, well, my feelings were seriously one-sided and they didn't really know how to respond, I guess. No, they've been indoctrinated into thinking they're furniture.
Yeah.
You know, go and, karate kick your grandpa in the nutsack.
Yeah, just give him a swift old, like, boot to the gooch.
Yeah, exactly.
そういう対象だとも思われてなかったという雰囲気。
It was like they didn't view me that way at all.
そりゃそうだろうよお前の言葉遣いは男勝りだからな
No, Battler,
Battler,
stop it.
fucking stop.
Stop. Stop. Oh my god, that's not even, like, sexist. That's just, like, the wrong thing to say to someone.
Yeah, I mean, it is also sexist, but also wrong thing to say.
Yeah, like, that's just mean. Don't say something like that to someone, like, when they just said they got rejected. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I
Like,
can
even-
understand that. You talk like a man, after all.
もうちょい
Even I know better than
しないと男心をくすぐらないぜ
If you don't act a bit more graceful, you won't be able to catch a boy's interest.
Ugh.
No, she's got no problem catching people's interest.
Yeah, absolutely not. Which, like, Shame she wasn't growing like this age in 30 years from where she is now, because like that's when you get like the tomboy craze and shit. And people would absolutely
Oh
go
yeah,
wild over her.
absolutely.
いやいや、やっぱり私みたいな言葉遣いじゃ受け悪いかな。
Is the way I speak really that bad? No,
No.
it isn't. As Kat likes to say, speak as you speak, do as you do.
Mm-hmm. Like, don't let that shit fucking change how you speak.
まあその
Like, I
言葉遣い
changed
が
how I
全てじゃ
speak
ないだろうが
on purpose, specifically because I didn't want to like personally, I did not want to sound like I was from Texas. I didn't want the Texan
Yeah.
accent. But like, a lot of people have to change their accents just to be like taken seriously in their field, and it's total fucking bullshit. Like, there's a difference between like not swearing in public and like having to change your accent, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, how someone as, you know, very thoughtful as Bo from Bo of the Fifth Column had to feel bad about his accent.
Mm-hmm. And this is very common in like academic and
Oh, yeah,
investigative
absolutely.
fields and all that shit. Just like overall. Like Nate talks about it all the time, but the only reason he didn't have to change his accent is because his is one of those that are like considered proper, right?
Yeah.
Because he's from fucking New Jersey or what have you. He's from that area of the world. So people don't look down on him for his accent, but I chose to change mine for like my personal reasons, and also because I wanted people to be more easily able to understand me, right? And
Right.
it worked really well because I used to get comments all the time on my podcasts and YouTube videos and everything, talking like from people like all over the world, being like, "Oh yeah, you're really easy to understand. You enunciate very well, and it's very easy to understand the words you say." It's like, excellent. That's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't speak like even the verbiage I choose is not standard, you know? Like I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
definitely use very archaic words sometimes without even really meaning to.
Yep, but you do enunciate very well, and I have a lot of archaic words, at least in my brain catalog, so I usually know what you're saying.
Yeah, I just mean like, even though I use all these archaic words all the time, that hasn't changed in the past like 10 years. It's not a new phenomenon. So like, even with all that, like people are still saying that I'm easy to understand. So I'm just like, yeah, all right, cool. That is the goal.
Yep.
It's like a very
I would
neutral American
definitely
accent.
agree.
That's what I aim for.
Then I just have a boring ass neutral accent because I'm just from the middle of the country.
Yeah. Like, there's a little bit from like Ireland, England, and Australia in my accent and the way I speak, but that's specifically because like I grew up speaking to people from that area, from those areas rather. And like I lived with an Irishman for a couple of years too, so
Yeah.
you'll note that I don't call it the trash can, I call it the trash bin.
Yeah. Well, how you talk isn't everything, but when people like you, who always have a rough style of speech, suddenly start working hard to talk more normally.
そのそういう気概みたいなもんでドキッときちまう
Okay,
こともいるかも
that
な
is actually a good point. It's not okay, so he's actually got a point there, which it just means that he stuck his foot in his mouth again and didn't say it right the first time. But
Yeah.
people do like it when they see you making an effort to be something, right? To better yourself
Yeah.
or whatever. But the problem is, most people like it when they see you making an effort to appeal to them specifically. What I like is when people make an effort to be themselves more openly. That's what I like.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, I have to consider something like in Japan, talking more softly to someone you like. There's a lot of linguistic stuff in there that's a bit more obvious that we don't necessarily have in the same way. Like, obviously, we have different ways of speaking, but there's, obviously some changes to speech patterns and recognition of that.
So there have actually been a lot of studies on like how people talk to the people they care about, and like regardless of like kind of feeling, it's each one has been studied a
Yeah.
lot. But even in America, like in the West, we do change how we speak for it, and it is
Oh, yeah,
noticeable
absolutely.
once you know what you're looking for. You're okay, Ember. Don't interrupt me. Shut up.
But when people like you, who usually have a rough style of speech, suddenly start working hard to talk more normally, well, there are guys out there whose heart will skip a beat when they see how determined you are.
そうなんだ。
Is that really true?
そうか。
I see.
うん。
Yeah. Jessica suddenly started smiling more meekly, and then her face instantly went slightly red. See, even though her confession didn't go well, it looks like she still hasn't given up. Still, I get it. After seeing how close George and Shannon have gotten, I also kind of want to find a girlfriend.
The idea that a girl needs to speak meekly, just. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. This family has a lot of internalized misogyny.
Yeah. And ridiculously, a lot of that is still fucking relevant today, 20 years after this was written, or almost 20 years anyway. I think it's 17 years, but fucking close enough.
Yeah.
It's just. And this is set 30 years prior to that? No, 20 years. 20 years prior to when it was written. So, like, set about 40 years ago, and the shit's still fucking. This isn't even, like, that severe compared to, like, some of the shit I've seen in real life, even.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just like a PSA for all you girls out there. You do not have to speak meekly. Don't do it. If anyone tells you you have to do it, tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yep.
If you want to speak meekly, you can. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but like being forced to change how you speak, like having to do so to be like considered like proper or what have you. Fuck that. Say whatever you've got to say with your full chest. Scream it to the world if you want to. Do it.
Yeah.
And if anyone tells you
like-
to stop, tell them to go swan dive.
It's one of those things. If you want to do things that are stereotypical for your gender role, but as long as they're not damaging to you or others, go for it.
Yeah, and that's like true of like any stereotype. Like for your skin color, for your sexuality, for your gender role, for your nationality. Doesn't matter. If you want to do those things that are not hurting anyone, go for it. If you don't, though, don't let anyone force you to.
Yep, exactly. 6 years. 6 years of puberty are pretty important. They went by pretty fast. As the typhoon approached, the clouds grew steadily grayer. But even so, I had this really refreshing feeling. Maybe I'll try thinking more seriously about the opposite sex. More than just the size of their boobs.
ところで、ジョージの兄貴は使用人のシャノンちゃんと付き合ってるわけだが、
By the way, it looks like George is going out with a servant.
まさかジェシカまでってことはないよね。
Don't tell me it's the same for you.
どうしてそう思うんだよ。
Huh?
Mostly
What?
because, you
Why
freak
do
out
you think
whenever
that?
brought up.
Yeah, also, like, who else could you possibly get close to?
I guess like some people at school, but like...
Even then, like, I'm not gonna hang out at the fucking Ushiromiya mansion.
Right? Yeah. Like, if I was a teenager and, like, I liked Jessica, as soon as I heard that, like, she'd want me to go back to the Ushiromiya family home, I'd be like, nope, I'm out. Fuck this.
Yeah, no,
Sorry, girl.
like,
Not happening.
I'm gonna get the shovel talk, but Kraus is just gonna literally yeet me into the ocean.
It's like, especially since like I'd show up in like jeans and a t-shirt, right? Like, can you imagine the fucking aneurysm Kraus would have?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I don't
Which
think
would
the
be
servants would mind at
amazing
all,
to
but
see.
like the rest of the fuckers. Ugh.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Although, could you imagine like
そういや
one of these
バー
little
テン
idiots
で挨拶
bringing
した
back like
あ
a
の子って若い子
quote unquote commoner friend back to the fucking mansion, and then like all the servants calling them lord? It's just like, how weirded out would the quote unquote commoner person be?
Yeah.
I mean, some
Yeah,
people would be into
immensely.
that, but like personally, like I get weirded out when people use any honorifics with me at all. So, like, just using
Yeah.
a very formal one would just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely feel weird about that, especially someone much older than me and much more experienced than me, like Genji, calling me Sama. Yeah, that would be fucking weird.
Although, like, it may not be as weird as it is here because their honorifics aren't gendered for the most part.
Yeah, that is true. Like, I think I like their honorifics more, so I wouldn't be as bothered. 'Cause, yeah, we don't exactly have that issue. I do love this one social media I saw. I think it was Tumblr, but it might have been Twitter. Either way, Professor is, going along the roll call, calling people Mr. and Mrs., hits on a non binary student and has to think of something and eventually settles on Captain.
Yeah, right on. Fuck.
That is pretty good.
In English, honorifics and titles are very hard to distinguish from one another. But there is a distinction. I would be hard pressed to explain exactly what it is, but you just sort of like gotta go by feel with it.
Yeah.
Just for like people wondering, because most people don't like study language like even just a writer does, much less like my language nerd ass. But that is, we always talk about how everyone has some internalized like stereotypes and biases from like living in their cultures. And the only one that I can think of for me, and there's like just this isn't saying me saying like I've only got this one, but rather this is the only one I know of. For whatever reason, and I'm pretty sure I know the reason, but I'm not gonna get into that because that's like a whole ass fucking like hour-long video essay kind of shit. But I see masculine as more default in terms of like honorifics and titles. I see them as more gender neutral than I do feminine titles.
Yeah, there's a long history of that. We can summarize it to patriarchy, but there's a long history about that.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons it's still prevalent in my head is because it's been reinforced by reading translated media, right? Where the translated, like the original language of the media doesn't have that gendered honorific, but you have to use one or the other gender in English for that honorific because that honorific doesn't have a neutral equivalent.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Demon Lord. You know, like that's the default translation of Mao, but like it doesn't say anything about the actual gender of the person who has the title in Japanese because that's literally a type of existence, not a not like a statement on someone's gender. But like in English, whenever you translate that, you have to use a gendered word.
Yeah, and it does not work.
Because even if you translate it literally into like Magic King or Sorcerer King or something like that, you still have to use the king, you know? And even the sorcerer part is gendered in English.
Yep.
There are very few, like, words for like these kinds of things that aren't gendered in English, which is just very weird to me because English is not a very gendered language to begin with.
Yeah, we are I think the only language in our category that dropped gendering words, like
Hmm.
gendering all words.
For us,
Now
it's
we
just
only
like
gender some.
it's just some fucking nouns.
Yeah, it's basically just some nouns that are titles. Like, we actually gender things that people with genders do. You know, we don't gender fucking chairs.
Yeah. And this is the difference between like a gendered language and a non-gendered language, because ours isn't gendered because we don't gender the verbs or the like non-human nouns, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Even most human nouns aren't like gendered in English. It's just like pronouns, or most pronouns at least, and like most titles and some job titles, like actor versus actress, for example.
Yeah.
Which, again, you gotta choose like one of the two to be gender neutral, and like I always default to actor because of that
Yeah.
inherent bias. However,
Yeah.
I struggle with it a lot because at the same time as I recognize that this is an inherent bias, it's also like, well, we gotta fucking choose one to be the gender neutral, and we might as well stay consistent across the board. So if we choose actor for like the gender neutral of actor, then we also gotta do sorcerer and lord and all this other shit, and like that just makes the problem worse in some ways. And I don't know how to fix it because I'm not that smart.
Welcome back, Kinzo Gunshiro Miya.
So that fucking username makes me laugh every time I see it.
Come to think of it, that kid Cannon who greeted us in the Rose Garden.
口下手だからってジェシカやたらとかばってたよな。
We were covering for him pretty intensely considering he was just a little awkward at talking.
いや、そんなことは。
No, that's not.
勘繰りすぎだって。
Now you're getting paranoid.
じゃあさ、これだけは教えろよ。今この瞬間
That's also not what
ジェシカが
paranoid
狙っ
means.
てる男は
Not even in like the layperson meaning of the word.
Mm-hmm. Then tell me just one thing. Right now, is the boy you're after within 1 kilometer of this spot?
That's cheating.
いや、それはそのどうだろう。
How about that? I wonder. Cannon was the only boy on this island now who could possibly become her boyfriend. So
You don't
judging
know
by
that.
her
Maybe she's into
reaction,
older
I was
men.
right on. Please no.
It was just a joke, but also, yeah, please no. Like, all the older men are like twice her age,
Yeah.
if not more.
Yeah, like, I knew you were joking, but, like, given the age gaps we've already been dealing with, my brain just immediately popped in with, please no. Didn't think of the Ushiromiya family as a noble family, but love with a servant. Wouldn't have dreamed that 2 pairs of Romeo and Juliet would be right next to me.
That's not what Romeo and Juliet is either.
No, not at all. We would need an opposing family.
I guess they're using it in the like the forbidden love sense, but also that's just like it's just not the right kind.
Yeah. Aunt Ava would probably become an obstacle to George and Shannon's love. If Aunt Ava ever learned that Shannon was the partner of her only beloved son, she'd probably scream at her for trying to steal away her precious George. And a relationship between Jessica and Cannon would probably be just as full of difficulties. Aunt Natsuhi was also very strict about that kind of thing. After all, Jessica's husband would probably become the head of the Ushiromiya family in the future. That person had once been a servant working for the family. well, things would get complicated.
See, I can.
ま、人の
So
気持ちなんて
when it comes
そん
to
なさ
like relationships between like commoners and nobles, or in this case, like the wealthy and the servants of the wealthy, paid servants at that, not slaves. I can see why the convention of not marrying commoners or servants came into being, right? For a
Yeah.
lot of logical reasons. I can't. So I don't understand the whole like pride in your bloodline thing, obviously, because that's the kind of person I am.
Yeah,
But
plus
just like
that's entirely
aside from that,
bullshit.
yeah, it's entirely bullshit. But aside from that, there are a lot of logical, reasonable reasons for to not do something like this, and it's because of the inherent power dynamic.
Yep.
It's like when he said that it would get complicated very quickly, like that's actually true. Uh, Battler's not a very thoughtful person, but occasionally he does like understand things properly.
Yeah, honestly, like, for all of his faults, he definitely has some level of class consciousness.
Yet he tries, at least in some definition of the word. Uh, but even if Jessica treated Canon as an equal all the time, he was raised and like brainwashed more or less to consider himself to not even be human. He's still going to be dealing with that in 30 years, even if that all that stops right now in this 2-day span in like the timeline where he ends up surviving to like old age or whatever. If he does have a timeline like that, I don't know if they will, but assuming they do, and all of this gets stopped at some point and everyone survives, he will still be dealing with that in 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. He will continually deal with that for the rest of his life because he has been raised since a like 3 or 4 years old probably to consider himself less than human. That will stick with him for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
No matter what Jessica does about it, he will always, somewhere in his mind, consider himself less than her. Which creates a very uncomfortable sort of dynamic there. Because in a relationship, people are supposed to be equal and able to give their opinions equally, right? But it's not necessarily the case here.
Yeah, and the fucked up part is this goes beyond just the servant and their employer situation because of the whole furniture thing. Annan and Shannon have been raised to consider themselves less than human, so even relationships just with other people
Mm-hmm.
is going to get messy. Not quite as messy as dealing with a relationship with Jessica or George, but still.
Yeah. Obviously, we can't say to these kids that they should never date for the rest of their lives. That would just be fucking
Oh,
cruel
yeah, no.
and inhumane.
Yeah,
Especially if they
just
actually are allosexual or what have you. But like, they definitely need like a lot of therapy.
a
like, a
whole
lot.
lot of therapy.
I think they might be the ones who need the most therapy about of anyone on the island. Genuinely. Like everyone else
Yeah.
also needs it, but like they're dealing with the same things that the Ushiromiya family is dealing with, and also the fucking furniture thing on top of that.
Yeah, like, we better end this with that entire fucking orphanage getting upended. And, obviously replacing it with a just, regular fucking orphanage.
Yeah, like I don't say this lightly, but like these people are fucked up in the head.
Yeah. Which isn't the correct way to say that, I will say that, but they definitely have fucked up morals. Say that.
Yeah, I just mean like their brains are all like just they are deeply traumatized and brainwashed, like all of them, in various ways.
Yeah.
They're like, there's some real fuckery going on in their minds.
Well, love is different for every person. As long as you're with someone who's fun to be around, does anything else matter?
つがいってのは互いが互いを認め合う以外に何の許可もいりやしない。
When two people pair up, they don't need anyone's permission as long as they accept each other.
親がどうこう家がどうこうなんて気にしたら負けだぜ。
Worrying about what your parents or family will say means you've already lost. Yeah, I can't really argue with that.
Yeah.
それを忘れるなよ。
Don't forget that.
半端な気持ちで付き合うんじゃねえぜ。
You'd better not go out with someone with mixed feelings.
しゅ恋もしたことねえくせに達観したようなことを言いやがって。
Can't believe you're saying something so philosophical sounding when you haven't even been in love.
恋は損得感情でするなよ。ハートでしろよ。
Don't treat love like a matter of profit and loss. It's about heart.
俺が言いたいことはそんだけ
That's all I have to say.
んじゃな。See you again. Have a nice day.
Your English sucks, Battler.
長寿兄さん、シャーノ聞いて聞いて。
Listen, listen.
パートだったらこいつまた面白いセリフを言い出したぜ。
This guy, he said another one of those
I want to
lines.
think that he did it on purpose, but
何も言ってないって。
Yeah, I was gonna say, it kind of felt like on purpose. But I don't know if it's on purpose for the writer or on purpose for Battler.
I think both. I think he just didn't want like the others to hear it, right? That was a joke just for her.
Yeah. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
茶化すな茶化すな。
Don't make fun of me. Don't make fun of me.
See you again!
For a while, we forgot that the wind was getting stronger and played around on the beach.
Just a note for everybody. I have not been sleeping well for like the past 3 weeks, so I'm a little bit foggier than usual, slower on the uptake and shit like that. And it's also why my speech is a little bit more less well enunciated and also a little more rougher than usual. Little rougher. There we go. See, you can tell even my grammar's all fucked up.
Yeah, which is definitely fair. We'll do a check-in at the 6-hour mark to see how we're feeling.
Yeah, I don't know how long I'm gonna make it today, but I'm gonna fucking try.
Grew a lot these past 6 years, and being able to celebrate my youth and meet with all of my cousins was truly refreshing. Bit late now, but I realized that I should have gotten back together with everyone a lot sooner. Return to the Ushiromiya family. Can't blame you for wanting to get away, though.
たまにはいいもんだな。
Sure is nice to have all the cousins together every once in a while.
マリアもいとこで集まるの楽しくて好き。
I like it too. It's really fun when all the cousins get together.
そうだな。俺たちももういい年なんだ。別に親がいなくても会えるだろう。
It's about to be significantly less fun for everyone involved.
Yeah. That's right. We're already old enough. It's not like we couldn't meet each other when our parents aren't around.
たまにはいとこだけで集まって遊ぶのも悪くないかもしれないな。
Might not be a bad idea to gather the cousins together and play every once in a while.
それはいい提案だね。いつかそういう機会を設けてもいいかもしれないね。
That's a good plan. Maybe we should set up something like that the next time we get a chance.
Probably share all your phone numbers now. Just saying.
いつまでもずっと
Like, I know you guys don't have cell phones, but you guys should have house lines in the mid-80s, so...
Well, they probably do have all their numbers. It's just they need to actually fucking call each other.
I don't know about Battler, though, right? Because, like, last time he was here and saw everyone, he was still living with his dad. And now he's living with his maternal grandparents. So
No. Other way around. or rather, yeah, last time he was here, he was with his dad. And then he lived with his maternal grandparents, but now he's back with his dad again.
Okay, I thought for some reason that he had just come along this time. Like, his dad would call him, like, hey, you should show your face every now and then.
Nope, his maternal grandparents fucking died on him.
Ah, okay. I forgot that detail apparently.
Yep. Yeah, it was way back in episode 1, so I don't blame you.
It was like 2.5 months ago at this point. Fuck.
Yeah. But, yeah, basically, he was gonna endeavor to just never fucking see his dad again. But his grandparents died basically within a year of each other, so now he kind of had to come back.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I agree. I hope we cousins can stay friends forever.
おいおい、そこを強調するとまるで普段の親戚同士の仲が悪いように聞こえちまうぜ。
Hey, hey, if you make such a big deal of it, you almost make it sound like relatives usually end up hating each other. In this family, yes.
My family, yes.
George and Jessica laughed, but it felt just a little strained. Did I say something wrong?
You were very loud today, Ember.
Judging by how our parents made quiet expressions and tired faces every once in a while during the boat ride and at the airport. Maybe I should have kept that to myself.
そうだ、ジェシカの言う通りだぜ。俺たちはいつまでも仲良しでいようぜ。
You're right. It's just like Jessica said. Let's always be friends to each other.
マリアも一緒。みんな仲良し。
Me too. We're all friends.
そうだね。
That's right.
Mm.
Yeah.
僕たちはいつだって
We'll always be
みんな一緒だよ。
together.
みんな仲良しだよ。
We'll always be friends. They were not always together. They would not always be friends.
私たち何恥ずかしいこと言い合ってんだろう
And
な。
we've been saying some pretty embarrassing stuff.
なんだか照れちまうぜ。
Feel kind of awkward.
Fuck that. Be sappy. Do the
とて
thing.
も大切なことだと思います。
Be open with your emotions.
Yes. But I think it's very important.
人は願わねばいつまでも一緒にいることどころか仲良くいることさえ難しい生き物なのですから。
People are creatures who find it very hard to stay together, much less remain friends unless they truly desire it.
そうだね。みんなが仲良くいられることを決して当たり前なことだと思ってはいけないね。
That's right, you really can't take everyone being friendly for granted.
知り合いの魔女が言ってた。
Which I know said it.
幸せはみんなが信じなくちゃ叶わないんだって。
Happiness won't be granted unless everyone believes in it.
確かにね。
That's true.
信じる力には魔法が宿るかもしれない。
Maybe some magic exists in the power of belief.
それを
I'm starting to think that the message of this
き
fucking
っと幸せを運んできてくれるだろうね。
story in general is that like love conquers all.
Yeah, I could see that being something.
Like hope and faith and love.
Though we'll fucking see. We're gonna get to a halfway point with episode 4, so
Mhm.
maybe they'll spin it on its head.
Maybe, but then again, like that is very common for horror stuff. Is like that overall, it does have that like lesson of if you treat others well and work together properly and trust each other, then like everything will be all right.
Which, yeah, fair enough.
It's like a lot of people may die along the way, but usually there's a vaguely happy ending.
That's true. Maybe some magic exists in the power of belief. We all believe in that. I'm sure it will bring us happiness.
よし。
It's actually
なら
quite
恥ず
rare
かしい
for
こと
a
ついでだ。
It's like fucking shit awful bad ending for everyone involved. I can only
That's
really think
very
of one, and it was, I think it was called Chernobyl. but it was
I can-
about I think that was the name, and it was like based on the idea of Chernobyl, right?
Yeah.
And like the movie ended with the survivor getting stuck in a fucking prison cell. So it's
Oh,
like
jeez.
no one had a good time. Like that was the only survivor of the entire movie, and she got stuck in a fucking prison cell.
Yeah, I think movies do that. Horror movies do that pretty often.
What, like have a good ending or have a bad ending?
Have a bad ending.
Maybe that's like a recent trend because like I haven't watched a lot of horror movies lately, or new ones at least. But like for a very long time, they had mostly happy endings. Like the monster would be defeated or the people would escape at the end, right? There'd be a couple survivors or what have you. A lot of people would die in the
Yeah.
process, but like some people would get out and then like the problem would be solved. Blah blah blah.
All right. Well, if we're doing something, or well, if we're doing embarrassing stuff already,
私たちはみんなで死んじゃうと誓おうぜ。
let's all
Quick
swear to
side
believe
note.
in this together, okay?
If anyone has any horror movie recommendations, mostly supernatural horror or science horror, send them to me, please. I
Yes,
like horror.
absolutely.
I just don't like slasher horror, you know? Like mundane horror doesn't get me.
That will always be friendly. That will always be happy. Like hell, we'll end up like our parents. If
Actually,
we'd ever search for each other's weaknesses, going after grandfather's fortune.
the thing that I want most right now is Western horror. And Mal knows why and how obsessed I am with that shit. Because Mal sat there and watched like fucking 8 Western horror movies with me last year. So,
Yeah, and most of them were hits.
yeah, most of them were pretty good. Like the only one I could think of that was actually kind of was that one where it was during the Civil War and they had that they were in that mansion overnight. And that one was
Yeah.
mostly because some of the acting was off. The idea
Yes.
was great, the script was good, it's just the acting was a little wooden for some of the characters.
Yeah.
俺たちはみんないつまでも仲良しで幸
Okay,
せ
we'll
だ。
always be friendly and happy.
それをみんなで信じようぜ。
Let's all believe in that. No matter how much we cousins try to nostalgically have fun, dark clouds continue to approach Rokanjima. Wonder if the typhoon will pass and let us see the clear skies before we leave this island. Cares about what our parents are planning. Cares about the inheritance and the honor of our old family. As youthful as we were renewing our old friendship. We all believed together that we could find happiness. That's why I want this pair of days to end without anything weird happening. In peace and happiness. And calmly. No,
Oh,
I
did I
don't
tell
just
you
want
I,
them to end.
I found a
Please
Western
let them
horror that
end.
was a vampire thing. I think
Oh,
I told
nice.
you like about the movie itself, but I didn't tell you that it was like Western horror. It was, like,
Yeah.
There was an island where it had like a vampiric nature deity.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Made of like vines and shit like that. And this was when I was like doing like popular media research for the teen vampire.
Gotcha.
It was really good. I like that one a lot. It was long though. It was a very long movie.
終わるかよ。
Let them end.
Damn it.
お前は出るなよ。
Don't show up, but don't appear.
くそくそくそ。
Damn it.
待たせたな。
Sorry to keep you waiting.
ようやく新しいゲームの用意が整ったぞ。
I finally prepared a new game.
さあ始めようではないか。惨劇の物語を。
Come, let us begin this tale of tragedy.
訪れよ。雨よ、風よ、台風よ。
Come to me, winds, rain, typhoon.
この島をうつしおより切り離す。
Cut this island off from the real world.
異界へ魔界へ幻想界へ。六軒島を放り込め。
Throw Rokenjima into another realm, into the spirit world, into a world of fantasy.
So the tale repeated for the third time. However, to an endless witch, what did it matter whether it was the first, second, or third time? Probably didn't matter at all. After all, this was a tale of fantasy, endlessly repeating until the match was settled. Would Battler surrender first, or would the witch? The sky grew dark and cloudy, and the rain and wind were summoned together and became a typhoon. Maria could be seen in the rose garden, paying no mind to the rain that had started falling, going around in circles, searching for that single rose that should have been marked. Not here. Not here. My rose that we marked isn't here. Maria definitely remembered it. That rose had been in the flower bed right here. Yet it wasn't anymore. She didn't know what to do with her irritation at not being able to find something that should have been there. Moaning bitterly, she couldn't help but keep going back and forth in circles around the same spot. She was acting almost as though she'd be able to see it if she looked at a different angle. But even though she did that, there was no way to find something that wasn't there. The wind grew increasingly strong and the rain turned into cloud. The wind grew increasingly strong and the rain turned into cold, large drops. There was no way even Maria would fail to notice this. However, if she couldn't find a rose here, it would surely disappear forever. Maria believed that. That feeling spurred her on to keep searching for a rose that she had no chance of finding. As then, the cold drops of rain tormenting Maria were suddenly blocked. Maria raised her head. When she did, she saw an umbrella there protecting her from the rain. The one holding out the umbrella was the witch she admired, Beatrice.
このような雨の中、何を必死になっているのやら。
What are you doing so frantically in the middle of all this rain?
体を冷やせば風邪をひくこともあろ
You could catch a cold like this.
う。魔女たるもの。自らの健康も気遣いたいものよね。
Even witches have to care for their own health. Doubt. At least not your kind of witch, anyway.
I can't find my rose. No matter how many times I search, and though it should have been here, can't find it. Maria told Beatrice about how there had been a slightly unhealthy, pitiful rose, and that she was sure that they had marked it.
ほうほう。それが見つからぬと。
So you can't find it.
そなたも魔女の見習いならば、魔法にてバラを探してみるという。
If you're a witch's apprentice, you should use magic to search for the rose.
目だけで探そうとするうちは、それにははるかに及ばぬであろうがな。
I believe that searching with just your eyes won't be nearly enough. Does Maria even know the right kind of magic to use for this?
Can't find it. Did my best and tried to search with magic, but I can't find it.
魔法の修行にはちょうど良いかとも思うが、この風雨はそなたには少しきつかろう。
Okay, so like confirmation that she actually is being taught like actual magic by Beatrice and not just the circles.
Which, good.
Cool. I think practicing your magic is a very good thing, but it might be a little too much for you with all this wind and rain.
わらわが特別に力を貸してやる。
Allow me to lend you some special power.
弟子の
You're
身は
okay, Ember. Stop yelling at me.
師匠の役割だからな。
Concern for one's disciples is also one of a teacher's duties.
Thank you. Thank you, Beatrice.
You know.
Maria's face, which had been full of sadness until just now, split open into a grin. Maria knew. She knew that there was nothing Beatrice's magic couldn't do. So she was sure that Beatrice would be able to find the rose easily, even though Maria couldn't. Beatrice closed her eyes lightly, acting as though she was listening for something in all this wind and rain. And she heard it, opened her eyes, and spoke.
商業無常よの。
All things in this world are transitory.
残念だな、マリ
Too bad, Maria.
ア。この風雨に、そなたのバラは耐えられなかったらしい。
It seems your rose couldn't withstand all of this wind and rain.
それじゃマリアのバラは
And my rose?
風雨に散り、すでにこの世のものではない。
It was uprooted by the wind and is no longer of this world. That's not how roses work. Roses come in bushes, not like singular flowers.
Yeah.
If like a rose was uprooted and taken away by the wind, you would be able to tell.
Yeah, you would know. What Beatrice had said was quite reasonable. There was nothing odd about the flower being broken off at the stem in this strong wind. However, Maria couldn't accept this and bitterly gave a low-pitched moan.
やだ
No.
ほう。
No, no, no.
マリアのバラなの
It's my rose.
マリアのバラが帰ってこないと嫌だ
My rose won't come back. No.
マリアの魔法で生き返らせる
I'll bring it back to life with my magic.
She's gonna be like,
魔法でバラを蘇らせる
yeah,
のを教えて
Beatrice,
trying to learn like
teach
one
me
of
how
the
to
more
revive
complicated
rose with
things.
magic.
Ugh. It's like I can see how like I fixing a vase is one thing, right? Like, because it's just it's an inanimate object. It's not very complicated. It's just like a bunch of like pottery, right? Like fixing that is one thing, but like fixing a living thing is significantly more complicated, right? Or at least that's what it
Yeah,
feels like to me.
absolutely.
無限の魔法の秘術。そなたごとき見習いにはまだまだ早いわ。
It's much too early for an apprentice like you to learn the hidden art of endless magic.
身の程を知れ。
Know your place.
Maria wiped the tears from her eyes, full of regret.
Yeah. Teaching
Beatrice shrugged her shoulders and chuckled at Maria's pitiable expression.
like the trope is that like teaching like young apprentices that kind of like very powerful magic is also extraordinarily dangerous.
Yeah.
Maybe
And,
like
I
sometimes
mean-
it's as simple as like people overdoing it, but other times there's actually like real genuine threats and things that can go wrong.
Yeah, and I can see a lot going wrong with teaching a little girl the concepts about bringing back the dead.
And like breaking fate and shit like that. Like,
Yeah.
because the way that it was described is instead of like repairing stuff, you're literally like shunting the fate of being broken or destroyed or killed off into the future and holding it
Yep,
at bay
and
for a
that-
time.
Yeah, and then endless magic is breaking that fate entirely.
Mm-hmm. You're okay, Ember. Stop it.
よかろう。
Very well.
バラを蘇らせる秘術。 わらわが力を貸してやろうぞ。
I will lend you my power, the hidden art that can revive a rose.
Really?
うん。
Indeed.
ではそなたの心の力を集中させるがいい。
Well then, concentrate the power of your heart.
目を
Detroit the power of your heart.
雨
Sure.
を忘れ、風を忘れ、奉公するバラの魂を心の目で探すのだ。
Close your eyes, forget the rain, forget the wind, and search for the soul of the wandering rose with the eyes of your heart.
Maria closed her eyes, and she repeated Beatrice's song-like words.
さあさあ、思い出してごらんなさい。
Come, try to remember.
バラよ、そなたがどんな姿をしていたの？
Rose, what form did you have?
さあさあ、思い出してごらんなさい。
Come, try to remember.
バラよ、そなたがどんな姿をしていたのか。
Rose,
What are you slapping
what
at my
form
hand
did
for,
you
cat?
have?
Stop it. Sorry, my cat is like slapping at my arm in my hand. Don't look.
聞くの、
Don't listen.
そして信じよ。
And believe.
肉の檻に閉じ込められし魂の力を解放せよ。
Release the power of your soul from the cage of flesh that imprisons it.
そう、
That's it.
良いぞ。
Good.
Around Maria, who was concentrating her power, her eyes tightly shut, small golden butterflies began to dance. Was this the manifestation of the magical power Maria held?
さまよいしバラの魂。
I like that everyone in Beatrice's tradition of magic has golden butterflies.
Yes, that is very nice.
Like, I don't mean tradition as in like the cultural tradition of this time, but rather
But
the
rather-
personal tradition.
Yeah.
The teacher to student tradition, the line
Yeah,
that goes
exactly.
there. I don't know what else to call that, right? Like it's just the tradition of that style of magic, you know, like
Yeah.
because like you say the same thing with martial arts, right? It's that dojo's tradition, it's that teacher's tradition, or what have you. You know, it's.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like how they're depicting magic so far, about how it's like based on your mental awareness and acuity and flexibility, right? Your imagination, for lack of a better phrase. It
Yep,
reminds
and
me a
your-
lot of Ririn. Like, there are specific spells to do specific things, but how good they are at doing those things depends on the caster's ability to, like, imagine what they might do and the store of magic that they have to, like, put into it to make it happen.
Right.
Which makes me thinking, like, of a world of this setting where everyone believed in magic and could learn magic. Would it look similar to Freerin in that, like, sense?
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, you've had a couple things to say so far. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. Sorry.
Yeah, all I was gonna say is, yeah, it's a tradition. People have family traditions,
Mm-hmm.
you know, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's a tradition. And, yeah, I think that's basically all I had to say that
Okay, good.
you didn't already say.
I just had thoughts there. I didn't want to forget them. Anyhow. Lost Soul of the Rose.
今一度集う。そしてその姿を思い出すがいい。
Gather into one and remember your form.
さあさあ集えよ。思い出せよ。
Come, gather, remember.
The glitter of the gold butterflies began to strengthen and their numbers increased. Then Beatrice raised his finger up to the skies. They began to gather at the tip of that finger. was the miracle of the golden magic. The gold butterflies began to condense into a single dazzling grain of gold. The single glittering gold seed.
Get out of there.
It
Bad
rode on the
boy.
tip of Beatrice's finger, budded into
Yes,
a
sweetie,
golden
come here.
sprout, and opened into a golden leaf. It then slowly fell from the fingertip. From that fingertip, sank into the mud of the flower bed, and began to grow steadily. Maria, who admired magic and the witch, really wanted to see this fantastical sight. However, as an apprentice, Maria was still not qualified to see it. No, she was probably afraid that if she opened her eyes to look, the power that she had concentrated in her heart would be cut off, and the magic would be lost. Therefore, Beatrice was the only one permitted to witness this golden miracle, the only witch, the sole master of many miracles. Then, the fully grown rose bloomed, creating one golden flower. When Beatrice poked it with her finger in just the right way, the gold-colored sparkles scattered, just as if a golden soap bubble had popped. What remained was a single beautiful rose.
So rather than restore it, she just like made a new one, more or less.
Yeah, well, restored it from the memory, basically.
Hmm.
立派な花を思い出したようだ
It looks like you've remembered a splendid rose.
な。だがこのままでは他のバラたちに混じってしまい、区別がつか
However,
なくなる
if we just leave it mixed in with these other roses, you won't be able to tell it apart.
もう一つサービスしておくか。
Shall I perform one last service?
Beatrice, for the sake of her cute apprentice, who was moaning even more now in concentration, decided to use one more bit of magic. And she snapped her fingers. A single gold butterfly appeared, fluttered around, and landed on the flower that had just been revived. Then it suddenly burst open and disappeared, having golden lace and marking the rose.
これでよかろ
That will do.
う。マリア、もう目を開けてもよいぞ。
Maria, you may open your eyes now.
バラはどこ？
Where's the rose?
ない。
It's not here. Not here.
そっちではないぞ。こっちだ。
Not over there, over here.
ほれ。
Look,
金モールで印をつけておいてやったぞ。
I've marked it with golden lace.
本当だ。
Did.
すごいすごいすごいすごい。
Awesome, 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 awesome.
ありがとう、ベアト、ありがとう。
Thank you, Beto. Thank you, Beto.
マリアも早く魔女になりたい。ベアトみたいな大魔女になりたい。
It's not the kind of thing that you
Become a
can
witch?
watch, Maria.
Want to become a witch quickly, a great witch like you.
なれるとも。かつてのわらわもまた。そなたのように無邪気にそれを望み、至ったのだ。
She's speaking very quietly in this scene, being very gentle,
Yeah.
which is very out of character in some respects, but very in character in others. Like a very like new side of her sort of thing that you
Yeah,
wouldn't expect if
absolutely.
you had only seen the other bits. Long ago, I too wished for that innocently, just as you do, and I have attained that level.
Maria was ecstatic over the revived rose, clapping her hands and jumping around in joy. Watching that, Beatrice also smiled, looking fairly pleased.
See, that's the perfect purpose of magic right there. Literally it. I rant and rave about it all the time, but it's got to be magical. It's got to be something that's like gives you that feeling of awe and joy. Like battle
Hey,
magic
give
is
me a-
one thing, but
Do me a favor and check my stream to make sure that I can be heard. Because we might have some issues.
I've got to wait for like
Dang.
my narration on this part to get over. So just give me a second. Come on. Yeah, I think you have been muted this whole time, yeah.
Oh boy, I'll have to get your copy of this particular stream. But let me see about getting that fixed.
Audio quality sounds like shit. My audio quality, I mean.
Yeah.
Like, and there's nothing I can do about it, but it just bothers me every time I listen to it.
Yeah, let's see here. Oh, what be your problem?
I wonder if that's a Discord thing,
Okay.
because it sounds a lot better on my streams. Hmm.
Okay, let's see. Okay, that should fix it. For some reason, it got taken off as default.
Oof. Yeah, that happens occasionally.
All right. All right, we should be back and actually able to be heard.
Yeah, just give me a couple of seconds. I'm going to adjust my pop filter real quick. I'm gonna mute myself on both ways just to make sure nothing happens, but I'm not going to be able to respond until I do.
Yep.
All right, I think that's good.
All right.
Do I sound like any robot or anything like that?
No, you don't sound like a robot or anything.
Good, because those cables have been sitting there for a long time, and they are sort of starting to die a little.
Gotcha.
I haven't adjusted the
Yeah.
position of my mic on my desk for like 5 years, so
Yeah. I'll need to, I don't know, make a checklist of things to check when I'm starting stream.
yeah, like I just scroll through my mixer, like because that's what it's called on OBS Streamlabs is your mixer, and just make sure
Yeah,
everything has the fucking audio monitor like lines on it, and if it does, then I know it's fine. But if it doesn't, I need to fuck with it, which is what I do with Discord every day, since it
Yeah,
attaches
'cause
itself to the specific channel or tab or whatever the fuck of Discord I'm in, rather than Discord as a whole.
yeah. But all right. So, yeah, I'll grab that from you, but otherwise, we can move forward. By now, I can break and repair any soul if I try, not just that of a rose, and kill and revive as I please.
Thank you for like mentioning that, by the way, dear chatter, because we
Yeah.
would never have noticed otherwise.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, this would have been a very quiet stream. At least on my
Man,
half.
it was like earlier in the fucking stream that means there was just like 5 minutes of silence while you were talking about something, and then like me occasionally going, yeah, yeah, I get it, and then like another 5 minutes of silence. Uh,
Yeah.
that's kind of painful, honestly.
Yeah, a little bit, little bit. Well, at least Bedwards was on your side, so could hear me.
Yeah, I think your stream is also like a full-on fucking minute behind what's going on right now. Like, there's a huge delay,
Yeah, which, fair enough.
which is just weird. Like, it's not normally like that. It's normally only like 15, 20 seconds behind for you. Mine's only like 2 seconds behind with this because like I got that fucking setting turned on, low latency or whatever.
Yeah. Come, the barrier of the storm has now sealed Rokujima off from the natural world. Now is the time for the Golden Witch. Beatrice to descend as an endless witch.
We're gonna have to wait until like your stream catches up to this scene here, so I can actually check and make sure everything's good.
Hmm.
But we can continue. I'll just like occasionally glance over and check, you know.
Yeah, Beatrice pulled from her pocket an envelope with the family crest, the one-winged eagle, and gave it to Maria. Maria frolicked around it, being selected to be the witch's messenger.
So this is so far just like a repeat of the first cycle, right? For the most part.
Yeah, with the exception of the rose.
And Battler as well. Battler found out that Jessica, or not Jessica, but George and Shannon are dating much earlier, like 8 hours earlier or whatever.
So that, and then also Ava's stuff with her
Yeah.
younger self.
Which is another reason why I'm thinking that's fucking Lambda.
そなたの遊びに再び付き合いに来たぞ。
So, Kinzo, I've come to join in on your fun once more.
わらわの準備はすでに万端よ。
My preparations are already complete.
そなたの方はどうなのか。
What's of you?
今宵のゲームにかけるコインの用意は十分であろうな。
Have you prepared enough coins to bet in tonight's game? You can really tell the difference between like how I would portray a witch and how the voice actor here is portraying a witch, just like based on like the differences in how we speak when we're reading Beatrice's lines.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a distinct difference.
Like even if we had them like the same kind of personality, just the way that they speak would be vastly different.
Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm fully prepared, Beatrice. I've assembled a plethora of pieces. I'm ready both physically and mentally.
I think your stream might be 5 minutes behind or so, because you're like the stream is still on like before she even marked the fucking rose with the golden lace, actually.
Huh.
And it's not just me either, because I've been refreshing the stream every now and then just to make sure that it's not just me buffering or whatever. But it's not. It's not just me buffering, like genuinely like 5 minutes behind.
Huh. Yep. There's just me bobbing in silence.
Yeah. Even more than that, actually, because Nox said 8 minutes ago that you might be muted, and that hasn't shown up on your stream's like on-screen chat yet. Your on-screen
not
chat
yet.
doesn't have like timestamps or anything, so I don't know like. But damn, that is weirdly behind. What the hell?
Yeah, that would be like 7 to 8 minute behind.
Yeah, I don't know, Bedwards. I don't know what's going on here because
I'll just have to accept the situation for what it is.
yeah, because we're like 3 to 4 seconds behind on my screen, but like 10 or 15 minutes on yours, which is just
Yeah,
weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. I'll just have to accept it for what it is, especially since my stream is not even going to be what's on the episode.
That's true. Even if like the audio was fine on your end, I would say we probably want to use my VOD anyway because yours might be desynced, which might be what is going on here, because I did notice the delay was larger than usual 2 hours ago when we first started, but it obviously wasn't 10 or 15 minutes delayed yet, right? So there might be some weird desync going on.
Yeah, let's see here. Oh yeah, I've got some dropped frames.
Is your internet all right? Because like, one would have thought that mine would be the one like fucking up because I've had the average stream bitrate too high going on for 2 weeks now, but bear with us. We are currently having technical difficulties.
I wouldn't even know what to do to.
The only thing I can think of would be to restart the stream, and I don't know if you want to do that or not. That's up to you.
Yeah, I don't want to as long as everything sounds correct enough for the audience.
Alright, so in like 15 minutes, whenever the stream catches up to what we're talking about now, someone please let us know if the thing is set up properly, like, and it sounds good. Because I will also be
Hold
checking,
on.
but I might miss something.
Yeah, so it'll be there in about like a minute or two. We're getting up to the point where it should sort itself out.
Alright, I finally see Nox's message on your on-screen chat.
Yeah, and I'm asking you to check my side of the stream.
Has some heavy buffering on. You're okay, Ember. Stop.
And the only thing my roommate's doing is just playing Lords of the Fallen, and that shouldn't
Yeah.
plague the internet.
Even if he's playing online, it's like... This is like very little bandwidth going on there. Probably even less than like other Souls-likes, honestly. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure like Lords of the Fallen 2023, yeah, that one. It doesn't have like that much online activity. Maybe that's just because like I did a yo-ho-ho for my playthrough, but I don't know. Is my fucking heater on or something? Is that why I'm sweating? No. It's just hot in here for some reason. Okay. I already found a problem with the audio.
Oh, lovely.
So you need to drop my voice on Discord by like 5 decibels and up yours by like 3. Because I am louder on your end than you are.
Alright, I'll do that in a minute.
All sorts of audio problems today. I wonder what the hell happened with your OBS.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm so glad that I swapped my like audio stuff over to the new setup like 6 months ago. Because like having my voice like play in like 6 different directions right now would be awful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, it seems like the problem is dropped frames, is why the delay is happening. It's not desynced or anything, it's just taking a hot minute to actually like get all the frames uploaded.
Yeah.
So this is just something that happens when you stream. Sometimes, like every year or two, you will have like just a stream where everything goes wrong. No matter what you do to stop it.
Yeah, and I would have to stop stream to like adjust settings. Which I can do, but like I haven't had a problem up to this point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. One
You want-
second.
Okay, yeah, we'll take a quick break then. I will
Yeah.
like put my screen up and everything and mute us, blah blah blah.
All
All
right,
right.
thank you.
So, good news, bad news. In fact, there is no good news actually, but no, I just had to say that. Bad news. Mal's stream is like really fucking up, and we're gonna stop there today, probably.
Yeah. We'll pick it back up on Thursday. Thank you very much for joining.
Yeah. I'm going to restart the stream and maybe play a little bit of Neo 2 on stream because like I've already got today blocked out for stream, so I might as well just like do my thing, right?
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, I'll just give you the VOD later.
All right, thank you.
All right. I'll be back in like 10 minutes, everyone. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and then just like restart as Neo 2 today and get everything set up. So, just I'll be back shortly.